All right, good morning, everyone. It is 8:37 on the morning of the 14th of December, 2022, and this is my pre-market strategy session. So, I'm going to kind of go over what happened yesterday. Usually, I don't do this very often, but yesterday was an interesting day. Not a profitable day for me. In fact, it was, I've got about a 70% rating on win versus loss days, and that's about normal. I have had months where it's in the 80s, but yesterday was definitely not what I was expecting. I was expecting yesterday to gap up and then dip and be able to buy the dip and then watch it run up, and it didn't do that. And so I had to cut losses yesterday. And I walked away after the morning session. So, it's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, but what did happen yesterday is it came down, so it gapped up in the morning. It opened up, I think it was close to 3% higher, had a 3% higher open, and then came down and filled that gap yesterday. Found support there, and then kind of moved, generally sideways, but a little bit up and sideways after it filled the gap. It's interesting to see. And so today, I probably won't trade. I usually don't trade the afternoon sessions. I usually only trade the morning session, but today Powell is going to speak and probably announce a 50 basis point rate hike, which would take rates. Actually, let's see, what is I've forgotten what it is. I think it's like, what is the Fed rate? Let's see what the Fed rate is. The current Fed rate. I ought to have this somewhere a little bit easier. What is the current Fed rate? Okay, so it's expected to go up to a high of 4.5%. And I'm pretty sure what the thought is that as the Fed funds rate creeps up, CPI and inflation ought to come down, and eventually they'll meet in the middle. So I think the highest reading was 9.1%. So if the Fed goes up to say, I think they're forecast to go up as high as 5.5%. And the idea is that by the time the Fed funds rate gets to 5.5%, the CPI year over year, certainly on a monthly basis, projected forward, it should be less or comparable to 5.5% by that time. I don't know. Is there going to be a soft landing? I don't know. A hard landing. I kind of doubt there's going to be a soft landing, and the reason that I doubt that is because the yield curve is so inverted. Now the yield curve, I think we're going into month 6 now of the inverted yield curve. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're in the 6th month of the 10-2 yield curve inversion, and they usually last anywhere between 12 and 18 months. Here in '88, here in 2000 before the 2001 crash, and then here leading up to the 2008 crash. And it's not until the yield curve normalizes, of course, that we see the big crash. So things can stay bullish. Things can be bullish as this yield curve stays inverted. The longer it stays inverted and the lower it goes, usually predicts the severity of the coming crash. So this curve, this inversion, it could last up to another 12 months before the inversion, before it normalizes again, and before we see the sort of the big crash on the equity markets. Of course, we've already come down. We're already down from the top. We're already down somewhere around 30% on the Qs. That's tech. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the near future. So yesterday isn't exactly a gap and crap because it came down and touched the gap, the top of the gap, or I should say actually the bottom of the gap, and moved up. And this 280 right here is still acting as support. We are coming to the top end of this. This is my support and resistance line. The bottom line here is a trend line. So the trend is still bearish until we can break up above these prices over here at 334.42. I mean, the trend is bearish, you know. So I am looking for a Christmas out rally. I was thinking that possibly yesterday the rally was just going to kick off and take us right to the top end of that support and resistance line. But as you can see, obviously it didn't do it. It came back down, tested that previous day's close, and then popped up from there. So what happens today at 2:30? I imagine that Powell, he's going to jump in the market. It's going to be positive. He's like, yeah, we're starting to see, CPI coming down. We imagine he probably won't say it explicitly, but he'll probably say something that alludes to, the Fed funds rate meeting CPI in the middle somewhere, and then as CPI eases, he'll be willing to ease on rates or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so today, probably not trading today. Probably, unless there's something really eventful in the morning, which there tends not to be. I mean, there's the first hour after the open where there's a whole bunch of, sort of back and forth movement. But it's not going to be until 2:30 and onward, or leading right up to 2:30. Well, the weirdest thing happened. So at 2:30, like when Powell takes the podium, for some reason there's a round of buying. It's like, okay, he's at the podium. That's good. We've at least got that. So there's like a bull move at that point. So I don't know. It just seems that way. Bitcoin is rising above. This is a neckline on Bitcoin. It's also, I consider necklines a trend line. And so right now it's popping up above its neckline. I think it's going to be short-lived. I think we're going to see something similar to what we saw over here. And it'll start coming back down again at some point in February, right around in here. We ought to see Bitcoin down around the 13,000 mark, somewhere between 13,000 and 14,000. And we'll see where it goes from there. 13,000 is a previous high from 2019. So, yeah, interesting. So it's kind of the morning strategy session is to really not trade today. I don't think if I'm going to trade, it'll be after or around the Fed minutes. But I don't really like to trade the Fed minutes too much because the market can be pretty unpredictable even at that time. So, yeah, pretty much today's no trade day. All right, everybody, good luck out there. Keep your risk tight. Click like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tap the bell, and I will see you at tomorrow morning's strategy session. I am out.